no one should make a mistake that May Day was founded by anarchists and communists, and it was always a socialist holiday. It called for a revolutionary change. Considering the 8-hour day was considered at the time a revolutionary and wild way of thinking, and so that was the motive force. It grew into an international day for the martyrs of the three that died at the Haymarket riots in Chicago back in 1886, I think it was.
Yep.
And the international solidarity movement that happened because of Lucy Parsons is where May Day really comes from, and that's what makes it an international day. My name is Michael Araujo, and I'm with Providence Worker Defense.
What are you guys doing here today?
So May 1st is International Workers' Day. It started as a protest for the 8-hour day back in 1886 and is celebrated by 3 billion workers worldwide.
What are you hoping to accomplish today with this protest?
Part of it is to increase the militancy of the working class in Rhode Island. The party politics just don't work. It's like having 2 different sports teams play in the same, but the stadium stays the same, so we're trying to do more. So we think there has to be like a radical shift, a real change. We're calling for revolution.
Besides that, what are you hoping to accomplish, like worldwide, not worldwide, countrywide?
Countrywide is a working class revolution.
Yeah. Sorry. Do you have any questions?
Yeah, sure. So there was a time when May Day was really, it wasn't even, if you will, a socialist or communist event. It was an International Workers' Day.
It still is.
You know, but in the sense of you would have parades in Brooklyn, in Manhattan, which would rival the size of, say, St. Patrick's Day parade,
Sure.
or Flag Day.
Even bigger.
What has to happen to get in your mind, the labor component of American life back to that type of prominence?
No one should make a mistake. No one should make a mistake that May Day was founded by anarchists and communists, and it was always a socialist holiday. It called for a revolutionary change. Considering the 8-hour day was considered at the time a revolutionary and wild way of thinking, and so that was the motive force. It grew into an international day for the martyrs of the three that died at the Haymarket riots in Chicago back in 1886, I think it was.
Yep.
And the international solidarity movement that happened because of Lucy Parsons is where May Day really comes from, and that's what makes it an international day. The reason it stopped being large in the United States, really, if you want the real truth about it, is the Taft-Hartley Act is what did it.
Okay.
So unions had to purge socialist, communist, and anarchist leadership from their ranks in order to maintain their ability to negotiate. And so the Red Scare reached deep into labor, and anyone that showed red tendencies at all was kicked out, and a lot were deported, some were even killed in the struggle.
Right.
So that was the largest reason why May 1 stopped being celebrated as a workers' day. And also unions shied away from it. They started seeing themselves as counterpower to employers and saw themselves more in partnership to employers. And so having that partnership mindset means you can't have a radical day. It means that it all has to be compromised.
Why do American workers, in so many cases, see trade unionism, and I use that term generically, as an evil when in a real sense trade unionism is nothing more than, if you will, market labor forces coming together to advocate for their own rights.
Right, it's a free association.
Right.
Yeah, which is those are the libertarian roots of trade unionism. But May Day itself comes from an industrial union model, where the idea is that instead of having each sect of workers in each place separated by trade, you'd have everybody inside the sector of an industry work together. There's a few unions still like that in the country, but propaganda is the reason why American workers don't support unions the way they used to. Like in 1973, membership was 37% of the American workforce, and now we're down to 7, I think, or it's between 7 and 9, and just about half of those are in the private sector. So one of the things that we're trying to do is highlight the fact that labor power isn't what it was, and that we have to have an honest conversation about how we organize and start to see where the power lies, and that's inside working class organizations and inside movements of workers like we have here.
Last question for you, if you don't mind.
Yeah, of course.
A movement has arisen around the country, and there's a handful of organizations, businesses in Rhode Island that have embraced that, and that's the notion of a worker co-op. And in fact, I believe White Electric, where you and I ran into each other, is in fact a worker co-op.
I mean, that's a solution. And so it's having like a little island of it's a little island of socialism inside of a capitalist system. So it's kind of an unsustainable model ultimately.
Okay.
Because market forces would force people that pay more, which is the share of profit, who could do more with less, right? Will do that. And so market forces will ultimately likely drive co-ops slowly out of business, unless they have a really robust customer base that's loyal for reasons other than just the food, right?
Tell us how folks can reach your organization or organizations of a similar.
Email is the easiest way to reach us. So Prov Worker Defense at proton.me is the easiest way to reach. We're Providence Worker Defense. We have meetings every Monday at 6 p.m. at 19 Hollywood Road. Everyone's welcome. We're trying to build a real working class movement.
And of course, Proton is the preferred email, interestingly enough, of socialists, communists, and libertarians everywhere.
Absolutely.
God bless, guys.
Security
Thank you so
counts.
much.
Thank you.
I do have one more question.
Of course.
Oh, sure.
I see you also have a lot of pro-Palestine flags and anti-Trump rhetoric and signs.
Well, that's not true. So we had, there's very little anti-Trump signs, if you notice. There were anti-capitalist signs, and there's anti-U.S. signs. Because as I said at the portion of the rally at the courthouse, we view it as a U.S. problem, not an identity problem. And so the fact that we keep looking at the faces of the leader means we don't know what their hands are doing.
Right. I was just going to ask, you lump all that in together, or some people do when they see like a pro-worker May Day.
Right, those instincts are great. Like if you see pro-worker, then you know it's anti-Trump. Right?
Yeah.
So there you go. That's your answer. But Palestine, so specifically the Federation of Gazan Workers, which is a trade union in Gaza, reached out to ask for solidarity actions around this. This is a labor organization that is trying to rebuild a country while actively being bombarded by an occupying force and having a genocide waged against it at the same time. And so remembering that these are working class people and these wars are bosses' wars, right? It's the want of land and greed that's driving this, not any made-up incident or crappy reason that we can come up with. It's been 75 years of land theft, and these workers are fighting for their lives there, and so we're going to stand with them.
That definitely answered my question.
Okay.
Thank you.
Yeah. But pro-worker does tend to mean anti.
Yeah. Anything else you'd like to add?
That's great. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.